Alright, hello everybody. Today we are going to be reviewing uh, oh, we're just going to be reviewing Jurassic Park 3. I guess I don't really need to say it's the third installment in the original series, because we would already know that just by the title. So this one is honestly, it seems to be everybody's kind of, I don't know, least favorite one out of the Jurassic Park series for whatever reason. But I felt like this one was uh, kind of felt more like had that more original feeling to it, where they kind of like almost like rebooted the series within the series kind of thing. Uh, and again, the foreshadowing, obviously, this one has my favorite scene in it of all three movies, with the pterodactyls where they get trapped in the bird cage. I'm not really sure how long that scene's. For some reason, I seem to remember it being quite longer than it actually ended up being. It only lasts about maybe 5, 10 minutes. That whole scene. I thought it was like the last like little bit of the movie for some reason, but yeah, it wasn't quite as long of a scene as I originally remembered. But it was long enough to make it epic when they're crossing the bridge in the fog, and then Grant realizes that it's a bird cage, and uh, they all get they all almost end up getting killed just by the pterodactyls alone. So yeah, not to mention what else is trying to kill them on this island. What was the name of the island? Yes, Isla Sorna is the name of the first or the second island. Now I can't remember what the name of the first island was. They had a name for it. It was Isla something, but it wasn't Sorna. Um, so obviously, yeah, this takes place again on the second island. So we kind of get to see, I guess, some of the aftermath of what had happened from the second movie, which was kind of cool. What else? So I guess the storyline here is Grant is has come back, as well as Ellie is also back too. And then we have this newer couple. I forgot William H. Macy was even in this movie. So this movie has William H. Macy playing Paul Kirby and uh, Tia Lone, Tia Tia Leone. I'm gonna say is her name. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Anyway, and then we have uh, Alessandro Nivola playing Billy Brennan, and Trevor Morgan plays Eric Kirby, their son. So he hires, and I guess Michael Jester was Udesky, and John Deal was Cooper, and Bruce A. Young was Nash, but they were kind of more secondary characters as far as the movie went. So Paul and Amanda try to, I guess, convince Grant to come with them on this trip, and he tries to offer him this amount of money. When they get to the island, he decides that, or he finally has to tell Grant that they're going to land on the island, even though that wasn't part of the original deal, that they were just going to fly low around the island in order to be able to see some of the dinosaurs. And turns out they are actually looking for their son, Eric. So yeah, things get pretty spicy right off the hop, I would say. Right when they land the plane, they go into the forest and are automatically attacked by this new breed of dinosaur, bigger than the T-Rex, I think. Now, I'm not sure what there was a name for it, but I'm not sure what they called it. It had like big, huge spikes on its back, and it could swim in the water. There's a whole scene with it where it attacks their boat near the end of the movie, and I forgot about it. I forgot about the scene where he loses the satellite phone after their plane crashes, because they end up hitting the actual dinosaur, and then that's how the plane crashes. So I was wrong about the plane crash being in the second movie. It's actually in the third one. And I guess I didn't remember that because I forgot about William H. Macy even being in the movie playing the character. So yeah. So kind of cool that I'd actually forgotten about that. So Yeah, anyway, when they get onto the island, they hit the dinosaur, they crash, and then they have to eventually search, or they're on the island trying to get to the coast. At the same time, they are searching for Eric, and actually, in the end, Eric ends up finding Grant after, I guess, living on the island for 8 whole weeks on his own, so that's pretty impressive for somebody who's never actually even faced a dinosaur before. And Grant did say that he would never actually touch that back down on the island, so that's also another kind of, I guess, funny thing that he ended up being on a new island, and I know for a fact that obviously Paul and Amanda thought that he would be the best one to take with them on this expedition because he knew the dinosaurs the best, I guess. But he'd never been on that island before, and I guess they thought that he had. So they ended up kind of just kidnapping him, basically. And at one point, when he thinks he's going to die, he ends up having to contact Ellie on the satellite phone, and I guess she calls in like the Navy and a whole bunch of other military units to come to that island to rescue them, because that was their rescue at the end. And they do mention Jeff Goldblum's character's name, Malcolm, at the end about his book that he wrote, which is kind of funny. So also foreshadowing again there too. And then when they're flying away after their rescue from the island, you can see the pterodactyls flying off into the sunset. So again, I think that's even more foreshadowing for maybe where this series was originally going to go, because I'm pretty sure they probably wanted to do more movies earlier on than when the new series ended up starting, or I guess the continuation ended up starting. Now, honestly, I can say that I wasn't even going to watch the newer ones, because I was hoping that with the new one it would just be jumped right into where the pterodactyls ended up flying, and we kind of just had humans and dinosaurs coexisting together. But I suppose they kind of had to tell a story as to what happens with the island again and all that sort of jazz. But yeah, it would have been cool to just have 3 movies of the dinosaurs are already coexisting with one another, so that would have been kind of interesting. But or dinosaurs are coexisting with humans. I think that would have been cool to just start it kind of where it left off, with like the foreshadowing of dinosaurs are eventually just going to make it into where the humans are, which was kind of similar to the concept of the T-Rex ending up escaping off the boat in the second movie. Kind of the same thing with the pterodactyls flying, because you don't know where they're going to go. They could go anywhere. And if they have the frog DNA in them, I suppose they could probably, the pterodactyls themselves could easily create new breeds of dinosaurs. Obviously bird-like, but yeah, they could easily do that, which would be interesting to see. Yeah, but it is kind of odd to think that it took them so long to end up making another movie and calling it Jurassic World. Now, I can't really remember what happens in this one because it's been so long since I've actually seen this one, and it doesn't really stick in my memory, I guess, as much as the originals kind of. I guess I've just seen the originals more, obviously, than the newer ones, and we have the new one coming out in June here, so yeah, I'm just kind of watching them all as I go, and kind of talking about, I guess, the key points, really, of the movies more in these reviews than the actual, like, storyline and stuff, because I feel like you kind of have to watch these movies to kind of get immersed into the whole story. So they definitely, all 3 are definitely worth the watch. And again, this one is tied with the first one. It is a 10 out of 10 movie, and obviously not just for the nostalgia, but I think it is my favorite out of all 3. But 10 out of 10 just because, yeah, 10 out of 10 because it's my favorite. And yeah, 10 out of 10 for the first one because of the nostalgic feel of the movie for the first one. I think I've touched on everything that I possibly can. And obviously there was lots of death in this one, just like most of the movies. And I believe Ellie is with a new... I'm not really sure, was she with Grant in the first movie? I can't quite remember whether they were a couple or not. Anyway, it seems that they kind of split up now, because she did have a small part in the movie for sure. and it seems that she maybe has her own kid or grandkid. I'm not really sure whether it was her kid or a grandkid. I can't quite remember. Not that that was super super important to the movie. Other than the kid is actually the one that ends up taking the phone to Ellie and saving him. So that was also kind of a funny scene because the kid gets distracted and then all of a sudden realizes, oh yeah, right, I have to take the phone. Oh yeah, he does. Oh yeah, I have to take the phone to my mom. So yeah, it is her kid. Okay, I remember that scene now. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for this movie, and I think that's about all I can say. I guess this is kind of a shorter review, although I feel like the Jurassic Park series movies kind of have been a little bit shorter reviews anyway. So yeah, and then I kind of get rambling about the kind of the foreshadowing stuff between movies, and I don't think there was any really other big dinosaur scenes in this movie. It was kind of just the one that was chasing them the entire time. Uh, I guess the other scene I could talk about was the one where, yeah, his satellite phone that he loses. That's what I was talking about. And it ends up being in the dinosaur when they finally, when Eric finally is able to find his parents, and they're on one side of the fence. He's on one side of the fence with Grant, and the other three of them are on the other side of the fence, and they hear the phone ringing, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's right. I was getting a call or calling somebody right before I lost it." So that it's in the dinosaur. You can just see the dinosaur like staring them down while the phones are ringing inside of the dinosaur. So that was one of the more terrifying scenes, I would say, probably out of all three of the movies for sure. Um, but yeah, I think that's why this one is my favorite, because it's not just the typical T Rex chasing them down or whatever, and then the scene where they're looking for the phone through all the dinosaur feces. There's another uh, I don't know whether it was like maybe a hybrid dinosaur, uh, kind of like a T Rex looking dinosaur with like a horn on the front of it, which was kind of interesting. And it ends up just turning around and walking away from them. I'm assuming probably because of the, I guess, smell, I suppose. I guess certain smells from certain dinosaurs kind of, I guess, it's like marking the dinosaur's territory, so the other dinosaur will just walk away instead of having to fight, I suppose, is maybe the thing that they're doing. And also, Grant being able to communicate at the end with the velociraptors, right, was one of the other big things to scare them away, I guess, because I guess he was a rival velociraptor, obviously not in the pack that was chasing them as well. So yeah, that was also very cool too. I'm not going to tell you how he does that, but yeah, he was able to communicate with them. And they were after him, or they were after the group because he had stolen, because Brandon, or Billy, had stolen the velociraptor eggs. And it looked like Billy had died in the pterodactyl scene, and I thought he had when I watched this again, but I guess he actually ended up living in the rescue crew, ended up saving him as well. So kind of cool that he lived, I guess. But yeah, for some reason I thought he had died when the pterodactyls were after him in the water. But anyway, I think that's finally it now. I think I've actually remembered a couple more things I wanted to talk about. So yeah. Uh, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one because I've already rated this movie, so I don't need to talk any longer. Bye-bye for now.